it's a lot darker outside than what the TV shows, but these guys, they got the angry pills in. They're ready, aren't they?
Oh, they're ready. They got fire in their eyes right now, man. This is race number 1, so if it gets dark, that's all right. They are ready to go. You see right now, up front, row number 1, that is Billy Hines. He's driving for Def Leppard. Think loud and live, and they're off already. Out to an early lead is Billy Hines in that number 57. Bill having a little bit of trouble early on in practice, but I think he's got things figured out, the truck figured out. Hopefully he can hold on to this lead early on.
So this corner, as the rest of the 14 turns, are going to be exciting, to say the least. They've been warned about respecting the curbs on the back straight where that chicane is, to stay off the tyre walls.
They certainly have. You know, these guys are race car drivers. They're going to cut every bit of this track that they can, and with these trucks, they can. And as you can see, as they hit that first big traction jump, that's a fast jump right there, a lot of distance as they get through the first couple of turns, nice and clean. Looking towards the back of the pack, Matt, right now. Our current points leader, the showstopper, Sheldon Creed. We saw him upside down over the finish line in Adelaide. He's in a battle right now with the number 7, the Speed Energy Toyo tire truck of Robbie Gordon, all the way in the back. They were put in the back of the pack, not only for qualifying well, but also being first and second in points. You automatically go to the back of the start for race number 1. As you see right now, the number 14 coming in really hot.
That was Gardner, I think. And
yeah.
Stacked the field up down the bottom. And it's Paul Morris who's going to be the big loser of it down at the beach corner.
Oh, and it looks like Keegan Kincaid got collected up in that as well. Keegan Kincaid, always a front runner, and right off the bat having some trouble. And the dude Morris also getting hung up in some of that as well. So they got a lot of work cut out for him.
I tell you, anybody in front of him right now, they'd better fear, because the dude will be angry after that.
The dude showed up a couple minutes late due to some other engagements he had with the U class at the drivers meeting. And I leaned down, I said, hey, you're starting in the back of the pack because you're late. He says, I don't care.
He doesn't. He can't phase the dude. He'll save it for out here. But look at the leader straight up here. A guy that surprised me early on, Brett Thomas, that's come out translate. This is his first run on bitumen. He's raced 1 kart race in his life on bitumen. He's done all his career on dirt.
And here he is out front looking good. Brett Thomas in the TFH Hire truck. Brett with the front end pushed up a little. Oh no, that is the dude's got his nose pushed up in him. That's going to make it a little bit difficult for him, but you're going to see a lot of that here in Stadium Super Truck Racing. As you see, looks like Matthew Brabin having a little bit of trouble there, and Mingay says, I'm going to take advantage of that as Matt Mingay dives to the inside, makes it happen, and out in front still. Brett Thomas getting squirrely, but still hanging on.
Brett Thomas feared this. This is some cool onboard shots. We didn't get this at Adelaide. This is what it's like.
On board with Sheldon Creed right now in that Red Traxxas truck.
This is scary. Through the middle, they've collected the tyre barrier, which are worn knots in. There's trucks going everywhere here.
We got trucks and water barrier all over the track there. It's hard to see who got into that barrier right there, but there will be a stop and go penalty if they can figure it out. It looks like Keegan Kincaid said, listen, man, we got stuff all over the track right now. Ends up missing the jump, doesn't gain a position, stays where he is right now. Keegan letting off the gas a little bit there, being smart about going around that ramp. If you do miss a jump like that, you cannot gain any ground on the competition.
Clearly you and I had a different driver's briefing a few minutes ago.
Yeah, absolutely. They did say you cannot touch these water barriers. You cannot go over the curbing. And here we are. We've already seen 2 water barriers taken out, most of them over the curbing. I wouldn't want to be Jason Smith with USAC up in race control, or anyone for that matter with cams and race control right now, because they're pulling their hair out.
Absolutely. On board with Paul Morris, trying to carve his way through the field at the moment. The dude's inside the top 6. That's Matty Brabham ahead. And safety car's been called. And we didn't expect this.
Did not expect this, so we must have something.
Would it be the big water tanks, water barriers perhaps in the middle of the track?
And it may be just for that reason. And the thing is, here in Stadium Super Truck Racing with Speed Energy Formula Off-Road presented by Traxxas, is that we don't like to go into yellows. We use a mandatory competition caution about midway through the race solely to bunch the pack up. But when the water barriers get moved out, they're there to slow the trucks down. And you see the 14 right there. Greg Gardner having a little bit of trouble. Collects Morris, collects Kincaid.
And this is what we saw from onboard heading down. This is from the higher perspective, so it's already happened. It was still going down the inside. It's a Def Leppard 3 wide.
3 Leopard wide. Absolutely wild. And then a couple of our top runners got collected there pretty quick. The good news is for them, well, we are going into this caution now. That is due to water barriers, I'm sure of it. Here's a room. I think we're on with Scottie Steele. Oh,
it's Morris.
I'm with Morris.
He had nowhere to go, and he's the big loser out of this whole thing.
Absolutely.
This is the rundown. This is Matty Brabham. He touched the wall further back in that shot in practice qualifying this morning, and just gets a nice little touch up here coming out of the turn 4 hairpin.
Mingay taking advantage of that, swapping a little more paint with him. Absolutely no surprise there from Mingay.
Right, this is what's happened. Matt Mingay's just got a stop-go penalty for whacking that water barrier.
Now, earlier on in practice, it looked as though Mingay had gotten into a water barrier in the practice qualifying section. Said, no, I didn't. But we believe he did, and there's no doubt about it that he got into a hot and heavy this time around, so he will get that stop-and-go penalty. As I was saying earlier, it is certainly preferred to not go into cautions with steam super truck racing unless something really, really outstanding happens. But right now, the water barriers, Matt, they're in place for safety reason. We can't have these trucks hitting these jumps just flat out. Not only will eventually the truck, something's got to give, something's going to break, but it's for the safety of the driver as well.
And they were told that, weren't they?
And they were told that. But, you know, once the helmet goes on, the safety goes out the window for the drivers. So it's the job of the gentlemen with cams and USAC and all of them and the officials to keep these guys under wraps and get them off the track safely after the checkered flag is over. And here at the Castrol Gold Coast 600 and with the Stadium Super Truck Racing, safety is #1. And for drivers and fans alike. So they've got the track fixed up here, and I imagine we're about ready to go into a rolling green. Now it'll be funny to see if they still do the mandatory competition caution at the midway point. Very well, with it getting so dark, they may not, as they get ready to go green right now. Green flag is out on the second jump, the Super Treat Auto jump. Oh, the showstopper, the red Traxxas truck, Sheldon Creed, really sideways.
It's a bit early for that. It's not the last lap yet. Trying to bring back some of that Adelaide coolness with him. So Brett Thomas leads us to TFA tyre entry. He's the man responsible for all the temporary fencing you see around the complex here. Doing a great job out in front. That's early days.
Now we see Thomas out in front. Then we also saw the dude right now. They really just cut one of those chicanes off there. Now, are they going to get called on that with a stop-and-go penalty? I don't know. As we see Brett Thomas taking the ride of his life. You see the dude, Morris, right there, sparks flying off the bottom of his truck off that big Traxxas ramp.
You know he's been trying. And news coming through, our leader is going to get a stop-go penalty now. So yes, it's all happening. They're coming down tough.
Now, he had the lead for good 3.5 laps there. He said, he's like, I'm just going to practice. Oh! We got Scottie Steele running her deep on that Def Leppard live truck into that turn. He makes it stick, keeps it out of the wall. The number 48's moving towards the front.
Look at Sheldon Creed, up to second now. And Thomas is going to go backwards here. Jenner goes down the inside now, and they're all stacking up behind him.
Now, I'm just going to say, we've got 3 drivers that race this series all the time that are really fast. Now they're out front, 1, 2, and 3. Then right behind him, you got the dude. I think the dude, he's going to hang right in there. He's going to go to school, watch these guys, and just do everything he can to move up through the pack.
I tend to agree with you. He's got Robbie Gordon.
That three-wheeling is a good feeling for the whole pack as they pile through that turn. Really heavy on the gas, getting that power to the ground, those Toyo tires hooking up as they go down this front stretch of these big, huge jumps.
Seriously, how close they were to the Avis wall, man. Big moment, he's into the wall.
Oh, and Sheldon Creed, the only reason he didn't spin out was because the wall was there. As you can see, the exhaust spitting flames out, and Sheldon Creed just lands wide open on the gas, doesn't spin an axle, and keeps it moving forward. We don't call him a showstopper for no reason.
Scottie Steele leads us down to the turn 4 hairpin. Matty Brabham, this is awesome. Coming through the field, he's up to 3rd place. He hasn't been here since 2010, and he was in a very underpowered Formula Ford that day.
Absolutely. And look at now, he's moving up through the pack. He's looking good. And no surprise right now, Mingay is moving to the pack with a handful of 3rd places up in Adelaide. He doesn't want any more 3rds. He wants to be on top of the box, and he's pushing forward to make that happen right now. And then Sheldon Creed now must have trouble with the truck because he is going in the wrong direction.
Wow. Just like that. Dropping down the field. Is there damage to the rear of this truck, perhaps? It was crabbing its way off that jump, wasn't it? Very
well may have. You know, he was having some struggles in practice a little bit, not as fast as I thought he would be, and now really having a hard time going the wrong direction, almost in the wall again. And but out front right now, the young man, 17 years old, stayed in last night. Grandma made him do his homework all night in the hotel. Now he's out in front. That is Scottie Steele driving for Def Leppard and Live with their upcoming Australia tour. There he is in the number 48 out in front, but a lot of pressure applied by Burt Jenner right now on the Gladiator tire number 50 as he's pushing for the lead.
Talk about Burt Jenner, because that's a cool story, isn't it?
It is a great story with Burt Jenner. And Jenner to the inside of the number 50. Does he make it stick in that house beer truck? Yes, he does. Burt Jenner is your new leader. Nice clean pass on Scottie Steele. But in third place right now with hunger in his eyes is Matty Bradham.
Right.
Looking great right now.
And looks like Minge is pulling out. He's out of business, pulling up at pit exit. Or was that the penalty box
That was his penalty box. He had a stop-and-go penalty from earlier on hitting it. He had not yet taken it. He didn't have to take that penalty right away. He has to take it when, before we get into the halfway marker. And so there's your stop-and-go. Now he's got to be hoping and praying that with that early caution we had, that they're still going to have a mandatory competition caution. But with it getting so dark, I bet they won't. It might just be a drag race to the finish right now.
We've got to stress, it's very dark out there right now. These cameras make it look a lot brighter than what it actually is. The back section, the chicane, and the massive ramp that's right next to the beach. The other side of that fence is sand.
Well, Robbie Gordon had been saying for the last 3 days here in town, he's like, what do we have to do to hang a right and get out and race down the sand?
Open the gate?
Yeah, and he's been pushing and pushing for it. So he would love to see that happen. He just wants to go Baja style right down the beach. As right there you see Morris, the dude, up on 3 wheels, pushing his truck really hard, looking in his rearview mirror and saying, I've raced with some of the best in the world, but I've never seen Robbie Gordon hot on my tail. It's got to be a lot of pressure for him.
Yeah, he'd be loving it too.
Absolutely. As
Yeah,
you see right now, Brabham still looking good. As we saw him earlier in practice and qualifying, having a little trouble getting the wall. Looks like he kind of shook that stuff off early. Running really, really well right now. Meanwhile, one of the sadder stories of the deal, Keegan Kincaid got collected in a earlier spit-out incident. He had nowhere left to go. One of the front runners most of the time. He's in the back of the pack, and he's struggling to make passes because everyone is running so well right now. Look at those King shocks work so hard as they're getting huge here off these big jumps, Matt.
Greg Gardner now relates to get a penalty. Truck 14, the South Aussie from Panola, who's been racing off-road racing in Australia now for the better part of a decade. Former Fink Desert Classic winner. One of our big off-road outback adventures we have each year.
Now we got 3 to go. Look at the brakes on the dude's truck. They are red hot, like you'd see on a modified or something. There you go, on board. You can see those King shocks and the beating those Toyo tires are taking as they're getting the power to the ground here. These are really tough trucks. These are just like the Traxxas remote control, the RC truck, the radio control truck you would see, or you could buy at home, and they just take a wicked beating.
What is the tire life like, though, for these trucks?
Actually, surprisingly enough, they actually get better as use goes on.
Right.
And once we get about 4 full weekends out of them, then we end up trading them out. But surprisingly enough, the first race is not as good. Second, third race get better, better, better. And then we trade them in. So we get a lot of laps out of these Toyo tires. And they're DOT-approved tires that you can go out and buy and put on your truck at home.
Certainly standing the test here, aren't they? Big liquor flames come out of these trucks late in the afternoon. The Castrol Gold Coast 600. Here's Gordon and Kincaid. At the back of this field now, effectively, with some guys behind that had to do some stop-go penalties. And our unique penalty box at the end of pit lane.
Now look at Burt Jenner. A year ago, Burt Jenner had an opportunity to be in the lead in a couple of these races. He was new to the series, got a little nervous, threw him away, ended up with his first podium last year, 2014, at the MGM in Las Vegas. And he totally changed his whole world around. Then next thing you know, he came out and he's been winning races like crazy. As now the safety car is back out again. We didn't get to see what that was, Matt. I don't know if it has to do with chicanes again or what have it.
Again, which has been told from race control. So the water boxes, they've done a lot of travelling here today. Some have moved about 150 metres up the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Undoubtedly one of the toughest jobs, not just for this class, but for all the classes, is being in race control. And being part of the CAMS team and the USAC team up there, and they have to make these calls and make these judgment calls and the safety calls, and that's a lot of pressure. It's a tough job, especially when you got just animals like these guys are out here on the track, and they put on the helmet and they are just wide open. And so you see right there, we're on board with Sheldon Creed. Sheldon Creed having some trouble earlier on, leading for a while. We saw him land, get into the wall, Not exactly sure what happened there afterwards, but he went in reverse quickly.
Some replays. We've got a lot to show you here. It's been going on behind the scenes. It's happening down the bottom. Just coming off the beach, that was Brett Thomas, the TFHI Illuminated Industries entry, truck 69. And look, this is what we saw from onboard before. Seriously, man, that was close.
Both trucks really going for quite a ride there. You know, the best seat in the house is Burt Jenner watching all that. You see Jenner just skying it off the super cheap auto ramp there, back into the chicane area, and just look at the beating those trucks are taking, Matt. It's just unreal.
The way they come landing down on that Scottie Steele. Look at Matty Brabham, serious airtime in the background.
Matty Brabham, a guy that's an open wheel superstar making his way into Indy, now sky high in the air. Looks like he's pretty darn comfortable up there.
This could be a career change coming up for him.
Very well could be.
So green flag next time by. Second restart, the Stadium Super Trucks. 3 more to come this weekend as part of the Castrol Edge Gold Coast 600. That was Jenner, Steele in second place. Matty Brabham, Paul Morris, Robbie Gordon, Keegan Kincaid. That's the top 6. 3 laps to go. And Jenner to stack the field up to come back to the green flag.
This is going to be a full-on, all-out brawl to the checkered flag now. We're sitting here 2 laps left to go. Jenner out in front. He can take the pressure. He's been in this position before. He's won several races now this year. He's got some overall wins, and he can make this happen. But the pressure he's got between Scottie Steele behind him, Brabham, Scottie's teammate, that Def Leppard live truck, and then don't count out the dude. Do not count out the dude at any time. That is Paul Morris in the 67. So this is going to be quite a battle royale these last 2 laps.
I wonder if he's a bit surprised to see Matty Brabham this far up right now. Is he just going to go past, think it's another truck? Who cares?
You know, you'd think being an open wheel guy in the same thing, you'd be surprised. But his last name's Brabham.
Yeah.
This is a family of race car drivers with Sir Jack and Formula One. I mean, when you think about race car families, Brabham's got to be one of the first names that pops up. So you can't be surprised at this at all.
Massive future coming up for him too. He's done a couple of stints in Formula E for Andretti Autosport and really staring down the barrel of a really strong US career, isn't he?
Absolutely, he is. And right now, it looks like we're on board with the dude. Look, he's still got dirt on his helmet from the last time he was in the sprint car. Didn't bother washing that. Brings a little character to it, you know?
He certainly made the transition to dirt very, very successfully. Oh, into the fence! Into the fence!
Scottie Steele throws it away. Had a almost guaranteed top 3. Runs it in hot right into the tire walls. Now right here we see Keegan Kincaid trying to get to the inside of Brett Thomas. Not able to make it stick. Very great showing by the Aussie drivers here right off the bat.
Yeah.
You know, Matt Mingay, the only reason he's not running farther up front is because he got that stop and go penalty for getting into the barriers. But all these guys really, really running well as we hop back on board with Paul Morris. And Paul Morris testing really well, qualifying in the 4th position earlier today. And no surprises right now, running very, very well. Sitting in a 3rd position right now. He's sitting in a podium spot if he can hang on to it.
Look how casually looks so laid back behind the Super Cheap Auto sponsored truck as we start the final lap in race 1 of the Stadium Super Trucks. It's Jenner by about 1.5 seconds now to Matty Brabham. This has been a great drive.
Last and final lap here. Jenner still out front, looking really comfortable. And I'm wondering, Robbie Gordon's now saying, I want to be on the podium, and he's got a new driver, one of the Aussies right in front of him. Is Robbie going to try to move him out of the way, or is he going to be a gentleman about it today? It's hard to say.
I'll go with the first one.
Absolutely.
I'll stick my neck out right now.
Absolutely. Oh, you see Greg Thomas getting front end low and really sideways off that Traxxas jump as they go through the chicane off the super cheap auto for the last time so far this evening. Now keep in mind, next Saturday up in Sydney, we're going to be on the 31st on Saturday. The dude's going to get a chance to race on the dirt in this same truck. You know, that's when things get scary. If he's this fast right off the bat, and Craig Thomas is doing this well, Brett Thomas doing this well, this fast on the asphalt, wait till they get him in the dirt next weekend.
It's going to be amazing down there at Valvoline Raceway next Saturday night in Parramatta. Head to tickettech.com.au. It's going to be a massive night there in Sydney as Jenner leads us down to the final turn in race 1. I'm not going to say he's got it done yet because anything can and does happen with Super Trucks.
Absolutely. Look at him three-wheeling one more time as he goes into one more makeshift chicane. Jenner holding on to the number 50 Gladiator tire truck right behind him. Matty Brabham with a great showing in the Def Leppard Live Tour truck, Australian Tour truck coming up, and the checkered flag is out. Bert Jenner takes the win in race number 1 here in Surfers Paradise Street Circuit. Matt, what a great run that was. Very exciting.
Tell you, Matty Brabham got it right down to nearly half a second in the end there. Another lap it could have been on there, but Bert Jenner gets it done here in race number 1 this weekend as part of the Gold Coast 600. Right on board with Sheldon Creed as he comes to almost take the checkered flag from the flag stand at the finish line. It was sedate by Super Trucks comparison, really. Tomorrow could be different.